Hello and welcome to Report Desk Africa. If you have missed on some of the biggest stories in Africa this week, well, Report Desk Africa is where is where you're going to get everything that you have missed during the week. You also get to hear about the backstories and insights into some of these stories. I am Bernard Akere and I never walk alone.
I'm Blessings Masugu, and on today's program, we will be staying here in West Africa, particularly in Nigeria. And we now know that the NSAS one-year remembrance has put Nigeria in the news so much this week, both locally and internationally. So today we'll be preferring answers to some of the salient questions concerning the whole NSAS saga.
Yeah, Blessings, how did you, it's been a very, very eventful week, if I must say so myself.
It sure has. The NSAS remembrance and all of that.
Definitely, you know, and it's hard to believe that it's 1 year already, you know, remembering all the events at the Lekki toll gate and across the country generally. You know, the protest spread to about 26 of the 36 states in the country, including Abuja. Right. Let me quickly rejig your memory. On that day last year, where were you during the shooting?
So I was reporting the news actually, well, not on the field, in the studio, and it was quite hard for me because of the news, and you know, everything I heard was just really disturbing, but you know, professionally we have to keep it together.
I understand, and 1 year on is still hard. Well, we'll go on this quick break, and when we come back, we'll be sinking our phalanges into the stories for today. It is still Report Desk Africa. Do stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still Report Desk Africa. And like we said earlier, we'll be staying in West Africa today. Now, protesters in Lagos, the southwest Nigeria, defied the ban on protests issued by authorities in the country against the first anniversary of NSAS movement. Now, the NSAS movement happened like a year ago, and, you know, they wanted to celebrate the anniversary. And youth, celebrities, and other human rights activists turned up in a car procession, chanting solidarity songs and waving the Nigerian flag in honor of victims of police brutality and alleged shootings on October 20th, 2020. Now let's take a look at this report by our correspondent, Nii Omoni.
Nothing else. The only thing that has changed is the fact that the people are now on foot. Before, they were in their cars.
The 2020 NSAS protest in Nigeria has been described as one of the darkest periods in our history, as its citizens revolt against police brutality. A year after, Nigerian youth are back on the same spot to mark the memorial of victims of the NSAS protest incident. In one voice, they demand justice for victims of the Lekki incident.
No! Who gave the order? That's the question I'm asking. Nobody's answering me.
Done as well as good. As a person, I'm doing the motorcade thing, and some people have come down, and this is the spirit. It could be better. I would have loved these guys to be on foot.
The 2021 movement started with a memorial car procession as protesters in a peaceful manner chant solidarity songs and wave the Nigerian flag.
A lot of notable people have joined this, and even everyone that's just seeing us pass on the road, they're just joining us, collecting flags. It shows that everyone shares the exact same sentiment, and I'm very happy to see this.
And it's not just by standing at the toll gate and protesting. Do you have your PVC? Are you taking action? Are you looking up who your youth representative is in your local government? Are you supporting that person? If you don't take action, you will still see the same thing.
Go out there, register if you're eligible. Go out there and vote. That is the way forward.
You still go and vote them out. See, I will vote in my candidate. I will not vote out Buhari. They should give me that chance.
We await them in 2023 election. Yes. The youth are taking over. We are saying no to every injustice rooted in this country called Nigeria.
Then this happened.
In the name of Mr. President, I hereby command all those that are gathered here to disperse peaceably and go about their lawful business. If you refuse to, force will be used on you, and you are liable to 6 months imprisonment. God bless Mr. President. You have been warned.
Giving an ultimatum that everybody should leave the protest ground.
We arrested people with machetes, which shows that miscreants has infiltrated them. And I was told that they are to have this down between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And with their vehicles never stopping and be moving. See, you started arresting people now with dangerous weapons. It means that miscreants who infiltrated them 1 year ago, which shows that the miscreants who infiltrated them 1 year ago and caused a lot of mayhem, a lot of damage, a lot of loss of life now have infiltrated.
Before now, the protest was ongoing and it was peaceful, but now most of the protesters have scampered for safety, and currently no one is on ground.
Personnel of Lagos State Police Command, however, succeeded in dispersing the protesters, but it remains to be seen how this move will be sustained against the would-be protesters.
I'm going to have a pretty protest, okay?
Ni Omoni, News Central.
And now here in the studio with us is our very own correspondent, Ni Omoni, who inhaled some of the tear gas yesterday while covering the protest at the Lekki toll gate. He'll be giving us the first-hand information about all that happened at the protest ground. And Ni, if nobody has welcomed you officially, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you, Bernard. It's good to be
Ni.
back on the show. And hi, blessings.
We're glad you're safe.
Right?
All right, Ni, let's quickly jump into it now. Let's start with press freedom. A lot of people have asked me as a journalist what I think about the protest. Now I'm asking you, who was physically on ground, would you say that members of the press were given enough freedom and liberty to carry out their duties as press officials yesterday at the toll gate?
Well, as compared to the 2020 one that the protests, I think this time around it was better. Maybe because the police had learned lessons, or they saw that they had to give press the chance to really just cover the event, so someone doesn't come back to say this is what else happened or this is what else took place. Although when we first got there was a notification that no press should fly a drone. You know, they didn't want an overview capture of the whole event, but after a while they just succumbed and they allowed press just do whatever they want, capture the event, but they had to wear their identity card and make sure they can be identifiable. I think as compared to last year, it was better. It was better. And no, I don't think any journalist was actually hurt, except one that was arrested earlier when we started and was later released before the end of the protest.
All right, Ni, now, while some people were not happy with the way the police handled the situation yesterday during the protest, some other people believe that if it weren't for the police presence, a lot of things would have gone out of hand, because some people, according to reports, were arrested with weapons. So what would you say about that?
Well, personally, I would say thank God for the police being there, because I personally I was already seeing signs of the protest, taking shape like what it was during the October 2020 protest, because I could see people there holding voodoo, this traditional voodoo, and waving it around. Some dangerous guys were beginning to show, so many things were beginning. And before, it was a car procession, and people were now on foot. We're seeing some very, very dangerous people coming around, people gathering in groups and making some comments at what's the next move. I was particularly standing close to a guy where he was saying, what's the next move? What should we do now? How far? Where we go start? In broken English like that. And I was beginning to feel if this thing goes beyond 12-1, then we might have a repeat of what happened last year. So I felt the police presence really helped a lot, because they were there. I think they've been there since a day before even the protest started, and it really curbed most of anything at all. And thank God for the security personnel who even interrupted in time to ensure that it wasn't hijacked by hoodlums, because we all know what Nigeria faced the last time that happened.
Just looking at those images is giving me chills and memory of yesterday and last year. But speaking about yesterday and last year particularly, the genesis of the protest was basically police brutality that's coming from last year. This is what sparked the movement, a year ago, and that called for the disbandment of the group called Sars, Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian Police. But going to the streets of Lagos now, can we say anything has changed as regards police brutality and the heavy-handedness of officers of Nigerian police force?
I wouldn't say much has changed. The main video that generated this whole things was a civilian journalist who posted a video of police brutality in Delta State. And that guy, I tried getting across to him. He used 7 months in police detention. Even while the protest was going on, 7 months. I spoke with his lawyer, and he could affirm that he used 7 months there, and they're still dragging it. In fact, the guy was so scared, he didn't even want to have any conversation with me at all. Until today, people still report police brutality. Yes, some people have benefited from the fact that the law has taken its course, and even from the Lagos State Judiciary, so many people, cases of 1970-something, 1990-something of police brutality have been laid before them, and they've gotten compensation. But the main cause, the main problem of police brutality is still very high. I think not much has been done, and not much has really been achieved. Yes, something has changed. Something has changed, and we could see the effect even at the protest ground. Some things have changed, but not really much has been done, seriously. It's still there. They said the SARS was disbanded, right? And they said SWAT came up. Till now, we've not heard anything about them. We don't even know who they are. We don't see them. You know, even when you see a police officer, you can't even identify, except if he's wearing black. But the ones that do the other side of the security, the anti-something, the anti-other part of it, we cannot really identify them, because when you see them, you're even scared to approach them.
Okay, you were there to cover the event, Nii, alongside the crew. Now, what would you say the experience was like for you with the tear gas, canister, the running around, and all of that?
My first fear, blessings, my first fear was witnessing the October 20, 2020 protest all over again. That was my first fear. Although last year, I was not on the field on that particular day. I was actually in the office, but they actually attacked the station at the time. But that was my first fear, because I was like, if this thing goes south, then we're in for a big show. A lot of people are going to be injured, and so many people, although some journalists came prepared. As you can see, I was also prepared. I was, kitted up thanks to my station. I was kitted up and ready for it. But I wasn't really hoping that something like that will happen, because we've learned our lessons. A lot of things just go south easily. And I think that's part of the reasons why the police came in on time and tried to douse down the situation. But as compared to last year, there was a little bit of peace and calm, because we could see the police, and there was no altercation. Even from the beginning of the protest, there was no form of altercation. The police was not violent, everything was just calm. People were just airing their minds. And after a while, when they were blocking the roads, as you can see, on one carriageway and the other carriageway, when they were blocking the roads, even the Olayinka Egbeyemi, that's the RRS commander, came and told them that, you know what, guys, I understand that you need to do this, but just move ahead. Let everything go seamlessly. And sincerely, as compared to last year, I think it was better. We've all learned our lessons from what happened last year, and from the journalists, from the police, from the protesters. Although the protesters didn't really care anyways, they were just there to say this is what they want, this is how they want to remember their fallen heroes in their own words. And that it was compared to last year, I think it was better.
And finally, Nii, before we let you go, I'd just like to ask, you talked about memories. What lessons can we take away from the memorial of the NSAS protest, particularly as journalists covering protests like this in Nigeria?
Well, I will not only speak for journalists, I will speak for some of the youth I also spoke with online, right on ground rather. One of the things some of them said that really caught my attention was the fact that, yes, we come to do a lot of talking on the streets, we come to do a lot of asking and saying and proclamation on the street, but where the youth of Nigeria need to take the right decision, do they take those decisions? That is voting, where it really matters, where they can do things. And I think that is a change from what it was last year. Last year, most youth are just, to themselves until the protest and until something really sparked up. But now they're actually thinking in line of, you know what, I think it's time for us to take over. And for journalists, we've also learned our lessons. You can see in that video, most of the journalists were prepared. They were really prepared for this particular protest. And they've also learned to walk hand in hand. And I think part of what also generated a lot of issues last year was videos that were circulating in the social media and everything. And journalists now have learned to do a balanced report. And they've been advised as well to do a balanced report to ensure that they are peacekeepers, because they're not there to judge the situations, actually. They're just there to give facts about the situations. And a lot of people have also learned from it. I feel moving on, things will get better. Things should get better, because it is necessary for the growth of the country.
All right. Thank you so much, Nii. Great job you did there. For me, it's the dressing. You truly were kitted. We should recommend you for more crisis regions to go to.
Thank you, Nee. It's really been a lot. I mean, it's been 1 year now, and a lot of things has gone down. But like Nee said, I think the most important thing is the youths taking the right decision, and that's voting when they should vote. Get your PVCs and vote. And I think everything will be fine.
Yes, we do hope and pray that everything would be fine. Well, it still is Report Desk Africa. That was a very, very emotional clip we saw there, considering what happened last year and what happened again yesterday. We clearly do hope, like Blessing said, everything will be fine. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will be looking at the forecast of what we expect on the continent and possibly in the country for next week. And Chidima Nwosu is standing by, just rubbing the crystal ball to tell us what she sees that will happen next week in Africa and on the continent. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. If you are just joining us, you have missed quite a lot. We're going now to the home run, or should I say the home stretch of the show. It still is Report Desk Africa, and now we'll be moving over to our very own Chidima Nwosu, who's going to be telling us some of the big stories to be expecting from the continent and possibly from the country next week. Chidima, it's good to have you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure being here. Hi, Blessings. Hi, Bernard.
All right, so Chidima, tell us, what are we expecting in the coming week?
All right, as usual, we will be bringing you interesting stories. Now, one of which is the Independence Day celebration in Zambia. Zambia is going to be 57 years in a few days, and it's quite an interesting one because this is actually the first of its kind since President Hichilema actually assumed power as a president. If you ask me, it's actually one of the most emotional times for people of Zambia. If you recall, the past administration wasn't quite eventful like we saw in our previous reports. However, President Hichilema's day in office is actually going to be 60, and we're going to be looking forward to what exactly he has achieved so far. Also, there's going to be stories on reforms, how he has actually reformed the Southern African countries.
It truly is a good one to look out for. Hichilema came in such a dramatic fashion.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's really been such a dramatic fight for freedom over the years.
And it really is going to be an interesting independence celebration and ceremony for him and for the people of Zambia. And after that, what else are we looking at?
All right, so just to add, he has actually done a couple of things since he assumed power, one of which is actually restructuring the security officers. He came in and actually said, you know what, I'm going to cut off everything that has happened in the previous administration. And a lot of people actually feel like Hichilema still has a lot of work to do. But of course, as usual, we're bringing you subsequent reports on that. Also, we're going to be having stories on the African Union and European Union summit. Now, they're going to be discussing challenges facing the African continent, one of which is the need to envision a long-term 50-year development plan for Africa. And of course, also the need to refocus Africa's agenda against apartheid.
All right. I think what I'm interested in is the 50-year development plan for Africa. 50 years from now, I'm not sure how old I'll be, but I'd like to see what kind of development that the European Union will bring to Africa. Definitely, African countries.
Journalists are actually allowed to attend the event, so we should be looking forward to that as well.
Who's going to attend the event?
Journalists are also allowed to attend the event.
True. Yeah, we should be looking forward to that. Journalists will attend.
If you ask me, I'll say that meeting is highly needed.
Very, very needed.
Especially the COVID-19 issues.
Exactly. I was going to say particularly because of COVID-19 issues. Now we'll be discussing challenges facing the African continent, the need to envision a long-term 50-year development plan for the continent of Africa, and the need to refocus and reprioritize Africa's agenda against apartheid. Africa truly needs a lot of restructuring and rebranding. But then again, there's a school of thought that asks if it is Europe and the rest of the Western world that should be in charge of Africa's development.
Most definitely.
Right.
And then before we go, Chidima, quickly, this just dropped just this evening. We're also going to be looking at, hopefully, the case with the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu. We know that he's in court, or his court case, I think it's still on, or it just finished a few minutes or hours ago. He's been served with different. There's been different accusations placed, in front of him, and he may be facing a life sentence if found guilty of some of these accusations. So possibly that's another thing that we would.
Journalists were not allowed into the court hearing, but hopefully we'll get some information as time goes on.
All right. Thank you very much, Chidima. As always, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Chidima.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. I think that's about it for the show. Time flies when you're having fun. I say this every week.
It
right?
does. It really does. And it's been quite a very interesting week, you know, with a lot of things happening. Like you said earlier, it was quite eventful. And, you know, we look forward to having more information as time goes on.
Exactly. Well, I'm still looking forward to the topics for next week, particularly. I'm really interested in seeing what comes up with Nnamdi Kanu's case and, you know, and the IPOB group. And I'm interested to know why journalists were not allowed in the courtroom.
I mean, the case has dragged for too long. I hear that in 2015 he was supposed to be charged, but you know he wasn't, and at some point he escaped and all of that. So, but we need to know what the outcome of this is going to be, and hopefully, you know, regardless of the fact that journalists were not allowed, we're still going to get information.
Definitely, we are the gatekeepers.
We're journalists.
Yes, we are the gatekeepers.
Right.
Thank you. If you've been watching, this has been Report Desk Africa, another week's edition. We do hope that you join us again next week for the more interesting and juicy stories that will be coming out of the continent. My name is Bernard Akede. It was a pleasure having you with us.
And my name is Blessings. Thank you so much, and see you next week.